Hi everyone, it's Terry from the Gypsy Magpie, and I'm here with my October project for the Graphics Fairy. I'm actually at a scrapbook retreat with friends for a long weekend, so I am filming this from my hotel room. So I've got this lovely fake wood desk here as my background. My project this time is a steampunk journal. I used quite a few images from the premium membership bundles. I guess primarily I used Steampunk #2 and the Eclectic Steampunk. I used the vintage postcards, and then I used a ton of floral images from the Wildflower Field Guide and the Red and White Floriculture, along with some that are just the freebies on her blog. I started out with a Tim Holtz binder as the base for the book. I was shopping at Tuesday morning and found the binder. It was only $2. It had good structure, but it was a horrible color. It was kind of a strange pink gray color, which I found really unattractive. So I just took some acrylic paint and I watered it down so that it was really, really thin. I brushed it on, and I took some baby wipes and just kind of dabbed the paint. I don't know if you can really see this, but it's a little bit mottled, which I liked the look of. So went ahead and let it dry and worked great. This was a binder. So what I did was I tore the mechanism out of it. I just gave it a good yank and it came out. What I'm using to bind this journal is a hidden hinge. If you don't know how to make one, they're super simple. It's scoring the paper, you do some folds. You can find tutorials for them all over YouTube. That is what I actually used to bind the book. So what I did was I made my page bases out of watercolor paper. It's nice and heavy. I like the weight. I like the texture. So what I did was I cut them to, I think they're 4x6 they must be a little bit bigger, maybe 4x6.5. I pinked the edges with my scissors. Cuts right through. I've had a lot of people ask how you can cut through watercolor paper with them. No problem at all with good pinking shears. So what I did was I went ahead, and once the hinge was in the book itself, I glued the watercolor pages in, and I went ahead and I made the embellishment for the pages. I made those all as separate little collages. When I was done with those, I went ahead and glued them to the watercolor paper. So the base of everything is a postcard. The vintage postcard bundle has, gosh, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 different postcards. So what I did was I printed them all out. I got a lot of questions on my last video about how I print. So what I do is I use a laser printer, and it's not new. It's an old HP. I've had it for probably, I don't know, 10 years, a little bit longer. Still works great. I print on 110-pound cardstock. I use laser prints rather than inkjet prints because most of the time I do collage work, and so with the wet mediums, inkjet does not work. They tend to smear and they don't hold their color. The toner images they've got real saturated color, and you can work with them with all kinds of mediums and they're perfect. So that's all I do to print. For sizing, I use the program that's built right into my printer, so I can print in a full-size sheets. I can print 8x10, 4x6, and 5x7. I can get 2 of those per sheet. The 3.5x5, which is the size I commonly print in, I am able to get 4 of those on an 8.5x11 sheet, and I can also print 9 wallet size images. When I print, I usually print in multiples. So for this gentleman here, I went ahead and printed 4 of those. The reason I don't mind printing in quantity is, again, since I do a lot of collage, I love having images to look through to kind of get ideas for new projects. So I don't ever mind having extra flowers, extra leaves. People especially use a lot of them. So if you're gonna print and you're not worried about conserving your cardstock, I would suggest just printing the multiples. You'll find all kinds of uses for the images. I cut everything. I love to fussy cut, so I cut all of my images out. I quite often use images in ways that are different than they printed. This spray of flowers, for instance, a lot of the flower was hidden behind him, and I hated to waste the pretty flower. So what I did was I fussy cut, and then I went ahead and with my scissors just snipped right through this branch, and it allowed me to move it over a little bit so that I could get more of the flower showing. And I just tucked everything behind him, and it didn't you would never know that I have changed the image. So again, I used the postcards, and I did a lot of machine stitching on these. So I went around the edges of everything. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. So again, lots of images. I think in order to do this page, I think I ended up using 3 of this yellow flower, 3 images of it. And like these are all mixed and matched. I don't feel like I need to work within one bundle. I like to kind of look through, and it's pretty common. I can use images from, oh gosh, a half a dozen to a dozen different bundles, all in the same project. For embellishment, I used some little gears here, and they're just glued in. I use Beacon 3-in-1 adhesive for everything that I do. It's nothing fancy, works on paper, wood, glass, metal, glues everything down. Again, the black and white images. I've got the florals. I've got some more of those gears. I like to collect quotes, so what I do is I just print them out, again with the laser printer, cut them into strips. I ink the edges a little bit with some distress ink, and I glue them on. I cut them up, I make them fit on the page. Lots of florals again. I don't know, I just found the steampunk really intriguing. I liked how it was really bold. The black and white was really bold, but then when you put some of the florals in, the color really popped. I liked that. I tried to use leaves in some unusual ways in this journal. There's a big leaf here, a single leaf on top of the balloon. I've used them as wings. I've got another page in here I'll show you. I used it as kind of a drape around a figure, and she's got a little floral crown too. I really like this camera here. It's got a gear glued on there too. This bat lady, she has her own wings, but I went ahead and I made more wings out of the leaves. The leaves were kind of fun. And this was a floral wreath. I just cut part of it up, went ahead and used that on her dress. Like I said, I don't have any problem cutting them up. This was actually a lot of fun. She was a statue. And so I went ahead and I used a couple different ginkgo leaves here. And I just added some flowers to her head. More steampunk here. One of the things that I did do with these pages is it's 2 layers of watercolor. I've gone ahead and I've glued them together, so this thing is super sturdy. On this image, I just took these red flowers and I cut them all into individuals. That was, it was a lot of fun to just kind of pile up into the hand. I like that the leaf is growing out of his fingertip. I think this guy's really dapper. I like him. Last page here. More gears again. And what I did with this binding, I went ahead and I left it loose. I added some trims in here. I might go ahead and add in a pocket or something in the back where I could tuck a note. But it was a super easy way to put a book together. I went ahead and I tied some ribbons onto the spine, added this gold tassel. I can't get this far enough away from my camera. This desk is really, really small, so my space is limited. On the cover, I just cut out the armillary, added a quote, and I went ahead with my X-Acto knife and made some slits in here so I could slide the other part of that floral wreath up underneath there. All of this metal looking embellishment in here, they're actually plastic buttons. It's surprising what you can find when you walk around a fabric store. So take a look and look at things with a new perspective. You don't always have to use items for the purpose that they were intended. I'm sure if you think about it, you'll come up with some alternate uses. So anyway, thank you so much for visiting. Check back next week to see what the other artists are creating with the amazing bundles from the premium membership. Bye-bye.